Welcome to Evangelicalish, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the American Evangelical Church, deconstruction, faith, and God's love through it all. Join us for these episodes live on our Evangelicalish YouTube page on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific. Let's journey together.
Welcome into the podcast. Good to see everybody tonight. It is Evangelicalish. It's Wednesday night. It is the live recording. Super glad to be hanging out with everybody. I'm Jeremy.
I'm April.
I'm Paul.
We almost got it.
And here we are in season 2, still unable to get a hold of that.
Now, we actually didn't explain how we're in season 2.
That was my lead-in. That was my lead-in. Okay, so that was a little carrot. So for those of you
in season 17 just like a week ago?
Yeah, for those of you who are like, wait, hold on, time out. Like, why are we taking, a journey back in time? No, we are not going back into the middle of the pandemic. You can, don't go run and grab toilet paper right now. You're going to be okay. We decided that we were going to be basically like episode 10, season 10 at some point. So we just decided to kind of take a step back on that. So if you'll notice on the podcast episodes, everything has been redone. And so all of calendar year 21 is season 1. And then everything that we've been working on here in calendar year 22 is season 2. So we are now officially back in season 2.
No one can make fun of us anymore for our million seasons.
Yeah. Episode 13, season 9. So
we're only a year and a half old. Which is, was a lot.
Anyway, season 2 episode, I don't even know. It's like 18 or something, 17. But good to see everybody tonight. Glad y'all are here. Do us a favor. What if I need toilet paper? Well,
the toilet paper thing is going to be the thing I will tell my grandchildren about from COVID. Like going to Walmart at 7 a.m. on Monday to get in line to get toilet paper. That will be my biggest memory from COVID.
Dark times.
Yeah, they were dark times for sure. But anyway, super excited about tonight. Going to be an amazing night. Got an amazing guest. Real quickly, before we introduce her, I want to encourage everybody, go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, please write a review and let people know why they should be listening to Evangelicalish. And last but never least, if you're watching live, share this stream on your social media platforms. We would love to connect with more people and open up this awesome conversation. So without further ado, I want to get into it quickly because our guest is incredible and I want to hear her story and just her heart. And she has been absolutely awesome in the little bit of time that we've got to spend together with her pre-show. Janice Lagata is a former member and she was the stage director at Hillsong New York City. And so for those of you who may think that name sounds familiar, if you have seen the Hillsong Documentary on Discovery Plus, that details Carl Lentz and Brian Houston and all the downfalls of Hillsong, and namely spent a lot of time looking at the struggles and the affair of Carl Lentz and Hillsong New York City and just all of the things that happened there. She was in that documentary and just did a fantastic job laying things out. Anyway, she was gracious enough to connect with us, and we connected with her, I should say. And
I sought her out.
Yes. April sought her out.
Talked to her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so she has been gracious enough to agree to come on to the show tonight and join us and talk about her story and her experience and where she's headed now. Because if you don't follow her on social media, you are absolutely 100% missing out. So without further ado, this evening, Miss Janice Lagata.
There she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fancy seeing you all here. What are they?
Golf clap.
April, on StreamYard too, there's actually also somewhere buried, we won't get into it right now, there's actually like an applause option too.
Oh man,
so
dang
there's
it.
like all this stuff.
We could really take our podcasting to the next level.
Yeah.
Is there a laugh track?
Yes. Yeah, there's like all of that stuff.
Oh
It is absolutely fantastic. Like and cartoon sounds like like all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. We
But
need that.
anyway,
We need that in our
I want
life.
it. I want it all. So I'm gonna go out
I want it all.
and then
Yeah.
come back and yeah.
But anyway, so Janice said she got an opportunity to check out a few episodes of Evangelicalish, and one thing that she found is all the episodes that she watched, I was not on. So Janice, I'm a part of the podcast. I'm super glad to introduce you.
No,
and
I'm glad I'm not the only guest. Like it takes the takes the
Two
pressure
guests
off.
tonight.
Yeah, 2 guests tonight. That's really good. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. We're super excited about it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, even just our little pre-show interactions, like I've been having a great time. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess I'll just kind of kick us off as we start just kind of, discussing some of the chaos that was, your involvement with Hillsong and everything like that. So kind of tell us, just start at the beginning, kind of give us a background of, how you got involved with Hillsong. I mean, did you just start as a member or did you get on staff first? Like how did all that kind of come to be?
No, I mean I was never on staff, so which
Okay.
is part of the reason.
Never paid.
Never paid, and never NDA'd. So
Oh, that's
Ooh.
why you're talking then.
that's why I'm just
Yeah.
out here.
They messed up.
Yeah.
And do they are NDAs frequent in Hillsong, or were they?
Yeah, pretty much
Okay.
everyone who was on staff.
All
signed
paid
some kind of
staff signs
NDA.
one when they sign their
Yeah.
contract. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 So now you were the stage manager for Hillsong New York City, that correct? But that was a non-paid position.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
On a given weekend, or just a given week, how much time were you volunteering?
Ooh, I don't even know. So Sunday was all day, like getting there 7 a.m. And I'd be there till 11, because like in our early days, I mean Hillsong New York just took off so fast. So we were having, started with like 2 services, and then we were up to like 6 services on a Sunday at our peak. And so, just being there all day. So that was Sunday. My Monday was taking whichever one of the sermons they were going to use for the Connect groups during the week. So I would have to listen to it, and then I was writing the Connect group studies.
Oh
So
my
that's what I was
gosh.
doing on Monday.
Oh
Then
my
Tuesday, I had my Connect group. So, I was prepping for that and then having that. Wednesday was the midweek service. So that was our exchange service. So I'd be, stage managing at that. Thursday was creative night. So, being part of the worship team as well, we'd be there. Friday, they did have like the block, and it was like youth and the college age stuff. And Friday night live, so just the young adults kind of hanging out. I never got into any of that, so I had Fridays off.
Oh, nice. Lucky you.
Yeah.
From your free job. Congratulations.
That means you were slacking, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't fully dedicated.
You weren't all in.
Right.
God.
And then Saturday they had like street teams, so people would be out serving, and I also didn't do that. So I had Saturdays off, but then you're not
2
doing
whole
much
days
'cause-
from your volunteer role you took off?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is probably why I backslid so hard, right? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't really in it.
Yeah,
But
no, you were faking.
You were in it there, so it must have energized you. There was something that drew you to that, to give that much time. What was it that got you excited about Hillsong New York?
I mean, so I think a lot of people, the initial draw was the music, right? So we started using Hillsong music in the church that I grew up in. And, Hillsong music back before United, when it was still Darlene Check and just like the early, shout to the Lord, all things are possible, that era, and just really, really love that music. And so my path to Hillsong New York, I actually went to Sydney first. So I went to Hillsong College because, Hillsong was the best at worship. And I thought I would, live and die in California, and just, I think evangelicalism, Christianity in general, but especially evangelicalism, does this thing to artists where it's like if you have some kind of musical gift, especially like you have to use that for the Lord. Like, they're so worried about you going out into the world and, becoming secular. And so
Secular.
for me, yeah. So for me to keep from
such a
being
horrible word. That's the word we need to get rid of altogether.
Well, it's between that and worldly, right?
Worldly.
Ooh.
That's exactly
Mm.
So
Or
to keep me
carnal.
from
Did y'all
being-
hear carnal too?
Oh yeah, carnal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
acting a
All
little
of them.
carnal.
Or of the flesh. Of the flesh was my
flesh.
personal favorite. Yeah. Yeah, the sins of the flesh.
Which means
Music
you're just
of the flesh.
existing as a human.
Yeah, right.
Sins of the flesh.
There's a lot of things that happen of the flesh, like every single day.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're in Australia. You do the
Yeah.
Hillsong College. Continue.
Yeah. So went to Australia to try to keep from becoming worldly. They're doing the best at worship. So I want to go learn from the best. The plan was just to be there for a year. And then I ended up staying there 4.5 years. And Hillsong for me at that time was great because it was really good at kind of making Christianity like cool, right? And it's you can be part of your Monday through Saturday instead of just your Sunday life, right? Like it just seemed like an easier kind of Christianity. And it was all about love, and it's a relationship, and it's not so religious. And so being there for just a year, I was like, oh, I can never go back to my old church. If for nothing else, because I had just gotten used to a 90-minute service, like, because I grew up in the church that starts at 10, when it ends, only God knows. Only
Leave it to the
Holy
Spirit.
Spirit knows.
Yeah.
Holy
Exactly.
Spirit didn't show up if you didn't go at least 3.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So like just for that alone, I was like, oh, I can never go back. And coming from the momentum of Hillsong to anything else is like hitting a brick wall anyway. But I was just like, okay, I'm here. I'm in this mode. I like it. It's working for me. So I'm going to stay here as long as possible. So I stayed in Australia until they were like, you can't be here anymore. And then I had a friend that I met at the college who was from New York, and I had visited her the year before. And I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to go. So I came back to the States and moved to New York in 2009, October. And then Hillsong started, well, they announced it in February of 2010. So I was right here. I had part of my ministry, my serving, my volunteering at the college was in the stage managing department. And so I was the only one who happened to serve on that team. So they were just like, all right, we know you want to be on the worship team, but here's what God actually needs you to do. So run this team. And that was how like I got to know Carl, because I was just someone he just saw all the time, because in the early days it was just me, and then just me and one of my friends. So he just saw us all day on
Constantly.
Sunday, handing him his water bottle with the top loosened, just making life easy for him.
So tell us about Carl Lentz, obviously very famous pastor, Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez pastor, on the Today Show. What was he like to be around?
Carl Lentz was, I don't know what he's doing now, but he was a charmer, just very, very charming, just a really, really good with people. Because I remember before they announced him as the lead pastor of Hillsong New York, like they had said, oh, he's going to be on the team. But I remember thinking like, that guy, because I had only seen him before when I was still at the college. He had come to speak at one of the youth events. And I just remember like this guy with really long hair who just talked way too fast and was like just moving back and forth on the stage. And I was like, that guy? I don't know. But then he and Brian came and did a TBN thing where they were, talking about Hillsong New York. And that was the first time like I met him in person. And he just has it. that it factor,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Because I remember just shaking his hand, and like he's just looking at you, and it's like I was like, oh, I'm in. I follow this guy anywhere. Like, and it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't anything special, but it's just like he's just so personable. Just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in. So,
Did you see, over the course of, the years that you served there, were your interactions with him always the same, or did you experience like change over the course of that time? Like because what it seems like, of course, all we understand is from just the documentary perspective, right? Like, I don't know Carl Lentz, but
neither do I.
But from the documentary perspective, it seemed like things kind of, I don't ever want to say genuine, because it always felt like it kind of had an underlying thing to it. But did it get more corrupt? And with that corruption, did he become more like kind of troubled and standoffish through the process, or, like as the celebrities came in and, all of those kinds of things?
Yes and no. Like looking back on it now, I know too much, and now I know. I'm like, oh, like we all got taken, and there's no shame in that, because we were there genuinely to do good and thought we were genuinely a part of something good. But kind of knowing and hearing stories now that like, oh, they were shenanigans from the beginning. So it's like they came in, they knew what they were doing, they knew this wasn't real. But they did a really good job at first of just covering over that. And I don't even think that I don't even think it was them. I think it was us. Like I said, we were genuinely there and genuinely believing in it, wanting to do good. Because like to this day, Hillsong is full of good people. They're just not in the leadership. And so like there was never a time where there weren't issues. Like from the beginning, it would just be different things. But for the first 2 years, I'd say we just kept saying, oh, like we just grew too fast, right? And so we're like this big baby that, of course, it's making messes and doesn't really know how to do anything, because we just grew too fast. So that was my excuse and why I overlooked a lot of things. And it's like once we catch up, once we kind of get our feet under us, then we can fix some of these other things. But then you're 2 years down the road, and now these things they're just part of the church. One of the first things that comes to mind was just like the guest seating, the reserved seating. Even before it was, the basketball players and the celebrities coming in, it was just Carl's friends, or just, people that he just wanted to favor. And so there were always just this massive amount of seats being saved. And Hillsong was so popular, like people would be lining up for hours beforehand and come in and still not get a seat. But then you have to watch whoever this person is, just be escorted up to the front. And so like things like that were in play from the beginning. But again, like we're just growing too fast, and we just haven't figured it out yet. And that's minor. So like we'll just keep going and keep overlooking it. And so I don't know, we just got in the habit of just overlooking things for the greater good, because we thought we were doing good.
Yeah.
So what were the other, so when did you leave Hillsong, and when did you start noticing like larger issues, like more systemic type issues?
Yeah. So I left officially in 2017. But Carl and I started questioning him, I think in like 2013-ish. There was a guy that he had just come back from Bible college, not even come back, he had just come from Bible college. And they just like put him up on the platform one Wednesday night. So he's just emceeing the service, and he was so bad. He was just so bad. And I just think like there are people who have been here, and if there's room on the roster and we're just allowing people to be bad at this, then I don't know, maybe we could try a woman, or a person of color. And so like that was the first time I questioned Carl on something like that. So I remember sending that email with like fear and trembling, like, hey, and pretty much those exact words. Like, if we've got room on the roster, then I don't know, maybe next time we consider, a woman or a person of color. And he wrote back and said, oh, I think that's a great idea. So let's pray, for God to send one of those people who can do it.
Literally talking to a woman and a woman of color.
A woman of color who's like,
I hope one shows up.
I wonder where they could be. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous.
And in a church that's running how many thousands of people,
in New York City.
Please one show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can throw a rock and not hit like a woman, person of color, Christian who's adequate enough to like do that. Like, it's insane.
Right. But like at that time, and even when I sent the email, I knew I had to take myself out of the running, right? Like, this couldn't be about me. And so like so much of all of our stories, I think, are just the ways we're taught to gaslight ourselves and to always be, everything would always be turned back on us. Well, check your heart. So like if I'm sending this email, if I know I have any kind of aspirations for any of this, then I have to remove myself from the equation. Because if I'm asking for me, well, that's an issue, because so much of just the way they would present things, right? So it would never be, Carl's like, well, I'm not making these decisions. Again, we have to wait for God to send someone. Like, I'm just choosing who God tells me. Like, God is making these decisions. It's not me. So then who am I to say, well, I think I could do it, because I know better than God, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that's the evangelical MO though, right? Like is they hide behind all the systemic issues and use God as just a meat shield, in front of like all of their problems. And so instead of having to answer your question in a legitimate way and go, no, we have obviously very clearly and unfortunately overlooked, the things that you're addressing with us. Instead of having to say that and be honest and look in the mirror, it's just really easy to just go, well, the Lord just hasn't sent us that person yet. It's like, I have gotten so tired of hearing that, that it just makes me sick at this point.
Well, I think anything in the church too, like especially evangelical stuff, especially charismatic evangelical stuff. They over spiritualize every ask, everything. So like, you can't ever ask for yourself. Like, I remember I got sucked into playing keys at my last church, and I didn't want to play keys, but like, I was a worship leader, so I would much rather sing, but I was like trying to like humble myself, like, and been like, okay, fine, I'll play keys.
Lord, if you want to just, send me over to the desert of these keys.
Like, literally how they got me on was they promised me that I would start leading worship, but they just really needed keys player. Like, they really felt like that was where the Lord had the need, and like, I could feel it. Like, they sought me out. I was like, that's not my thing. And so I literally played keys for like a year and a half and sang twice. And I would go up to the worship pastor, and like, the awkwardness of being a worship leader and asking to like, hey, I'd like to sing, like the balance beam you have to walk of like knowing you're good, but not acting like you're good. No, like being very humble at the same time. Like, if the Lord leads, but I know I'm have a better voice. I mean, I don't mean it like that. Like, God's gifted me with a good voice, better than the one that was off key all last service. Like, and
when I was a worship pastor, you, April, were my nightmare. Because it's like,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know, because I've led teams too, and I know that people do that. But like, I actually know I was being like, they were just using me for my keys playing, and I didn't want to play keys.
Yeah. Well, and I
mean, and I literally would start as like, I know you don't want to hear this as a worship pastor, because I've been in your shoes hearing from me, but I'm not happy playing keys.
and I'm so guilty of that too. Like I'm so guilty of the, I certainly should not disconnect myself from Carl's answer to you, Janice, because, you know, at times when I was engulfed in that culture, people would come to you and say, offer suggestions, or April, like you're saying, come and say, I've got these talents, I've got these abilities, whatever, I want to offer them. And it's like, well, we're just using the people that the Holy Spirit's given us. And, we want to, follow God's leading, and he's blessing this ministry, right? like all these like punch phrases that we all know, it's the lingo. And so it's just really, really sad. And also kind of frankly ridiculous, like, because now I follow you, especially like on Instagram, Janice, like, seeing your talent level is insanity. I mean, it's wildly good. And then for them to just like be like, but you can like hand Carl some water, like that'd be great. Mm-hmm. Like that is insane to me. So I hope they enjoy all the crow they eat with that. So
it's Hillsong. I just quick question, and then I want to hear more of your story. Does Hillsong New York still exist?
Yeah, ish.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Who's pastoring it now? Do you know?
Yeah. They sent.
That felt personal.
I know way too much about Hillsong all the time. So Krishan Jeyaratnam, he's a Hillsong boy, grew up in Hillsong, and they sent him over. Yeah, in the wake of everything. But a friend of mine went doing some investigative work. She went to one of the services maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they're calling it chapel. Like, so they're meeting at the church office. And I was asking her, well, like, how many people are there? And she's like, oh, like, it was a lot. It was like, I think like 100, 150. And I'm like, that is awful. Like, we were pulling those numbers kind of in the Connect group phase. So I know they are not happy. And I'd be shocked if it still exists this time next year. I'd truly be shocked.
So you sent that email to Carl and got that lovely response. So that you said that was probably around 2013. Yeah. So what else? What else had to fall for Janice to be like, peacing out?
So it was basically that, and it just years and years and more conversations of that, because the trap I got stuck in, I think a lot of people get stuck in, it's okay. Okay, if I'm the one noticing a problem, then I'm probably the one who's supposed to, fix it. So I'm supposed to be part of this change, and you have to give it time, right? And so I'm going to stick around, and I'm going to keep having these conversations and try to be the change. So it was just years of that. And, we kept having these conversations, and it's so weird to look back on it now, because the world has changed so much since, Hillsong first started in 2010 till you get to, 2020 with all of everybody's posting the black squares and all of that. But like Carl, part of his shtick and what he got a name for, right, was being the pastor that says Black Lives Matter. And so he rode that wave, and part of the work that I do, is my penance for feeling like I kind of helped him learn how to trick the system, because he was saying all these things and getting all this attention, good and bad. But nothing on his platform was changing. None of the demographics of his staff, were changing. So he just rode that wave, and he just used it. And
I remember sharing that clip where he went viral for saying it was like a Black Lives Matter rant. I don't remember when it was. I guess it would have been around like 2015 or 2016, maybe. But I remember sharing that, and now I look back and I'm like, why did I do that?
Did you feel like so really kind of, and I want to ask because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but really kind of what you were feeling is that, you were having these conversations, kind of pushing this, these challenges forward in that circle. And then do you think, and this is really where the question comes in, do you think that he took that, he heard it and he went, oh, this will play well. And he looked around and went, I am leading a really popular church in a really progressive area anyway. And so this is not going to, cause a bunch of problems directly, like maybe the online trolls and whatever. But did he just kind of take that, run with it, not really mean anything by it, but all press is good press kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's very good at reading a room, right? At reading people, reading a room, and kind of knowing which way things are going. And yeah, it didn't really cost him anything in the long run from the safety of New York. Again, like you said, this very progressive city, to say something like that. Like, it didn't cost him a thing.
I wondered about that because I know Brian Houston made an affirming statement about gay marriage and had to backtrack on that because they are an international movement. But was Carl Lentz's stuff a little more isolated than say Brian's?
Like Brian, I'm like, what statement is that? Because Brian was always way more backwards.
Oh, really?
Than Carl. Yeah.
And I'd have to look it up. I remember him making a fairly, like, we have to accept that, LGBTQ plus people exist and they are created by God and we love them. And then literally the next day there was sort of this retraction without retraction statement that you just knew he got the shit beat out of him by people all across the world for being affirming or actually saying something kind about gay people.
It was just loving queer people, not even being affirming. But
even that, because I'm like, well, if that's what he said, that makes sense, because that's very much Hillsong's stance, right? Everyone is welcome, and like, we're never going to actually say what we think about it, because that's a private conversation. But yeah, I think Carl played that up a lot too, kind of like the differences between him and Brian. And so Brian could take the heat for the more conservative stances that Hillsong had. And so sometimes Carl would have to be like, it's not what New York thinks, but we're under the Australian umbrella. And so this is kind of what we're all dealing with. But behind the scenes, he was the same. Like, it was the same fundamentalism, just with skinny jeans and tattoos.
The same fundamentalism with skinny jeans and tattoos. That
and
is
a black square.
That is a quote.
Do you think it was sincere though? Is it sometimes as we talk about mega churches, it becomes the absolute power corrupts absolutely thing. But was there sincerity in it, or was there just performance from the start?
Now I think it was performance from the start. Mostly because, like, he told us, a version of his origin story where he's like, I went to Hillsong College and I didn't really know what I was doing and whatever. And then someone pointed me out in chapel one day and was like, you're going to speak. And I went and hid in the bathroom because I just, I didn't want to, and I didn't see it for myself. I'm like, oh, which again plays into the narrative, right? That God really only chooses people who don't want to be chosen. So you're like super humble and never saw this coming. And then to talk to people who knew him before Hillsong NYC, and they're like, no, like, he went to college because Wave sent him there because he was the hot youth pastor. They already had plans for him. Like, he knew what path he was on. He knew what he was doing. So, and he already had like bad behaviors and like stories from before Hillsong. So it's like none of this. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, again, they knew from the beginning what kind of hustle they were running.
Wow.
So I want to ask you about one thing that I had heard. I think I heard you on another podcast. I don't remember which one it was, but mentioned that I don't know if it was in Australia or in New York or maybe both, but that the pastor's kids would basically have like free babysitting from a lot of the volunteers, like, and some of them, like, that would be their way of serving the church, would be babysitting the kids. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was happening in Australia. I can't say for sure because I didn't know for sure, but 100% in New York. Like I had friends who, wanted to be part of planning this church and got roped into that. And they're like, no, again, this is where God needs you. And so
they were babysitting someone else's kids for free.
And like there was a roster, like round the clock, like
for the Lord.
No.
And like, and one of my issues with so much of this is just that it's not even that you're just using people, but you're like so stingy and so mean about, like, you could, if you guys would show the least bit of kindness, you probably still have a lot of people there, but you're like so petty. And it would be things like, you've got these girls coming to watch your kids. They're coming, because Carl and Laura couldn't be with their kids on Saturday night because Carl needs to focus. So they would like be in a hotel every weekend. So, they have this roster of girls coming to take care of their kids, and like give them an Uber, like take care of their transportation, do something.
They wouldn't even do that.
They wouldn't even do that. And they were living at that time like in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and like this industrial part that was like being turned into homes. So it's like a 10-minute walk from the train. And it's like, you're just not kind. You're just not kind to people. So you just do not care about other people's lives or time. And like, it just doesn't even occur to you. Like, oh, like they're already doing this for free. Let me kick them a little something. Let me be nice.
So I preach 3 times on Sundays. So what you're telling me is I need to go to the communities that I pastor and I need to get free babysitting and go to a hotel every Saturday night. That's the secret sauce.
Well, you're only 3. If you were preaching 4, definitely.
Oh, yeah. And if I did the podcast
that's just
more,
a coffee date. That's like a coffee outing.
Oh, okay. If I did the podcast more and had one more service, like, yeah, I got it. That is the most insane thing I have ever heard in my life. Like that is just, I mean, I don't know. I guess also hearing that you were working like 5 days a week as a volunteer and not getting paid. Like I would have never just assumed that you were volunteer. Like that is
right.
A stage manager that's a volunteer.
And then also writing like curriculum for
writing curriculum.
Groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, that is asinine to me. Like full blown just insanity.
It's just like there's just so much money in the church, and that's why these pastors get so wealthy, because they're not paying. They have free labor.
Could you imagine like putting yourself up in a hotel room like every week in New York City? Like just that alone, right? Like that is
cost a couple of bucks.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Yeah. So
and I bet the church paid for their hotel room.
Oh, of course they did.
No question. Yeah. No question.
Yeah, of course they did. So, Carl could impress Kevin Durant, the snake. Anyway.
That's a different show, Jeremy. This is
the Thunder fan.
I am from Oklahoma City. I am a Thunder fan. I do not like Kevin Durant, and he could have rode out on the train with Carl Lentz, and I would have been just fine. I have to ask you this, Janice, because this has been the thing in the back of my mind. You're putting in all these hours, you're writing curriculum, you're stage managing, you're there all the time. I'm sure connecting with not just like seeing Carl regularly, but probably a lot of the big name folks that are coming in and out and being the person that's kind of that liaison, whatever. What did you do to like pay your bills? Because I mean, like what were you doing with your life during that time to even just survive?
No, I also had a full-time job.
Yeah, no, I know, but what did you like? How?
Yeah, you just make it work. So 9 to 5, doing my admin assistant thing, and then just fitting Hillsong in and all the other hours. And like at the time when you're in it, you don't even really notice, because this is just the routine that you're in and you're so used to it. And like they get you because, again, so many good people and so many, these are your relationships. These are the only people you're seeing, right? Outside of work. So this is, where else, when else, how else are you going to see your friends? So we used to say we're doing life together. You're like, does it sound like prison?
Doing life
Yes.
together.
Doing
That's
life
right.
together. Oh, I've heard that one before. That's another
Absolutely.
one.
Did they
we
also,
need to get rid
I don't
of.
know if did they say to the staff, because we used to work for, or my partner used to work for a large church. I wouldn't say they were mega church level, but they probably had like 4,000 members. So they definitely had like the same kind of aura of like, we're big time. But they would tell the staff who was very underpaid and overworked, like, this is your life. This is not a job. This is your life. Like your reward is in heaven.
Yeah, I've been told that a few times.
Yeah. We're doing
What-
life. And then like one of the big catchphrases, and any Hillsong people, I might trigger you right now. Sorry, but like, can you believe we get to do this?
Ooh.
Can you believe it?
It's a privilege.
Wow, this is
Oh my
glorious.
God. You don't have to. You get to.
You get to.
So Janice, I love your demeanor and vibe and smile. And I'm just wondering, is this some of this? I smile and laugh to keep from crying. What has been the fallout for you of investing so much into this and seeing it come down? And that's in the documentary. It really got me to see the interviews with some of the younger adults on there, and they would just have to stop the interview because the tears would come. What's the fallout for you been like in all of this?
I didn't cry in the documentary because I'm a cold piece of work. But I think for me, I mean, it's so many things, right? Like, and I talk about it on my podcast, and like some things I'm more open with and some things I'm not, but like just in a lot of ways, like I just feel stunted. Like it just took so much time, and you can't get that back. Like I don't even really think about the money, because like that comes and goes. And I think we're really good at just seeing the good in things, right? So I'm very ambivalent about it all, because I also met great people, and those of them who have left, we're still great friends. And so it's like, oh, I did get some things out of this place, but yeah, it's just the time that you lose. And even for me, just as far as like talent and music and things like that, like so many years of just having all of that devalued, like you don't realize at the time what that's doing to you. But like coming out of it and then just really having to reclaim and try to find my voice and talk myself up and be like, no, I do remember being talented. I do remember being good at these things. And Hillsong didn't want it. Hillsong didn't value it. But maybe there is something out here still for me.
And by the way, it's at these mega churches, particularly with these schools, it's not that you're not getting paid for you're also paying to be there, thousands and thousands of dollars to be in the ministry schools, and then you're tithing quite often. So you're paying to be in the school, paying to go to church, and not getting paid for your work. So it's
a lot of times those degrees are not credited.
Oh, they almost never. We used to, with our connections with Bethel and Reading, my wife and I both used to say to those guys all the time, a 3-year ministry school, you're taking these young people out of the educational track for 3 years, and they're coming out on the other side with nothing that they can use to go into the actual workforce and change the world. It always was a huge disconnect. We'd say, do a year, take a year like a mission, something, and then get them back into school so they can learn a trade where they can, take their Christianity into the business world and actually impact something,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's
all to feed the movement.
It's a scam.
It is.
Yeah. It's worse than like a LuLaRoe MLM, right? Like, I mean, it's
like at least you got leggings. Like,
yeah, exactly, 1,000%. I got a dress and some leggings. They were dope as hell.
Hold on, did you have LuLaRoe reps at Hillsong New York? Did you ever have to go to a pop-up shop, or was that just my church?
No. I feel like it came it got to New York late.
Before it crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Right before.
Yeah.
Right before it
Yeah.
hit the ground.
I probably have like almost 20 pairs of LuLaRoe leggings that I'm really embarrassed of now, but I had these like unicorn ones that I would wear on stage to lead worship in, and it just felt like slightly new age enough just because it was a unicorn, even though it's not new age. It's just like this mystical, unchristian creature. I always felt like a rebel anytime I wore them.
Hey, don't talk about.
I
the
literally
unicorn
had to get pastor's
spirituality.
approval for them, though. How stupid is that?
Bruh, I have not been pastoring churches right. Like, I am doing something wrong. I'm not controlling leggings. Nobody's handing me a water bottle half open. Like, what am I even doing with my life?
Can I tell you this, though?
Are you even a pastor?
No, I'm not. I don't even do this podcast. I'm just a guest with you.
I don't know.
My church wouldn't open it for the pastor, but they had Fiji water that only the pastor could drink. And like they just had that gallon of water with like the triangle cups, like the paper cups for the worship team. And like half the time the water gallon jug was empty. And so one time someone our worship pastor.
You at Hillsong?
Yeah. Our worship pastor literally took a Fiji water, or someone took one and like got in trouble. Like, that's for the head pastor? Well, we literally didn't have water. Like, we're singing it was like 3 services that morning and then one that night. And we didn't have water and got in trouble because we took the pastor's Fiji water. I'm like triggered now. Anytime I see Fiji water, I just have a PTSD.
So I do want to ask this question before we, kind of maybe run to a mid-roll and transition. What was it like kind of at the height of everything? You got these celebrities coming in, things are just going nuts. You're running, 6 services on a Sunday. I mean, it is wild. Like, I mean, what was it like in the midst of that? How did you feel then? And then what is it like on the outside now?
I mean, then, like I said, there are always problems. So, seeing how some of the sausage was made, and knowing there are issues, but again, feeling like, oh, well, if I'm seeing this and I'm here, then it's my job to try to fix it and change it. And then there came a point where like, oh, I don't think this can be fixed, but I'm in good here, and I am a great buffer for the people on my team, for the girls in my Connect group. Like, I have this connection, I have these privileges, and so I can make sure that their experience is better. And so just staying there for that, like to be the buffer for them. Yeah. And just, I don't know, just having to reconcile, to start questioning, start asking questions, because we base so much on success, right? And so thousands of people are coming. This church is doing well. It must be good, right? And so who am I to stop what God is doing, right? Or for my petty little complaints, so many people are getting saved. But then it got to the point where like, okay, but that person put their hand up last week. And so for a while, Carl had like just this running tally, and like the numbers were just insane of like how many people have been saved at Hillsong New York so far. But then, just start asking questions. Well, what does that actually mean? And are these people actually learning anything? And I remember just having like this, I don't know if it was like a dream or just kind of like a picture. And I ended up like writing a play about it, but like just this idea of like someone getting to heaven and not recognizing Jesus, but being like, but ask Carl about me. Like, Carl knows me. And so I felt like, oh, we're making a lot of Carl clones. Like people know his cadence. People know how to speak like him. People know how to dress like him. But is anyone really meeting Jesus here? Like, I don't know. And then for me as a woman, for me as a Black woman, just being like, I don't think this is healthy for me. And then having to start doing research. So I'm like, okay, I'm bothered by the fact that there aren't women on platform, that there aren't people of color. They're not bothered. They're saying they're hearing from God. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe God is like this. And maybe, so I've got to figure that out. Is this a God thing? Because if so, maybe I just can't rock with this God. Like, I don't know. So it was just doing more reading, doing more research on my own, and then being like, no, I don't think this is God's heart. So this is not healthy.
So,
go ahead,
sorry,
Jeremy. I was just going to say, this is why this is so damaging. Is the church becomes God. We dress like the pastor, and then when it falls, that rattles not just our faith in the church or anything. And it's why I struggle, with all due respect, Jeremy, when people ask me, should I go to church in a building? I'm like, hell no, do not go to church in a building in America.
Yeah.
Because I've been that pastor who sees how the sausage is made, and you get caught up. It's hard not to get caught up in the organizational structure. It's hard not to say, I need to do this so we can pay the bills next week, and all of those things. And I just now look at the Bible and see Jesus never said, go build a building and tell people to come to it and get a smoke machine and big screens and skinny jeans and get them there. That the church is something so different. And in some ways I have grace for everybody, because the system, the organization, human organization draws us to protect the organization, even to the point of when Brian Houston's dad is accused of sexual misconduct, you have to protect the organization at all cost. And so it's just such a horrible thing.
No, you're not offending me at all, Paul. I 1,000% agree with you. I mean, obviously we have started something very different for people that are looking for, spiritual healing, who want to meet face to face, and then, having the online community. Like, I know you've got one that also meets as well. And so it does look very different, in that way than, the evangelicalism that we have walked away from and spoken so strongly about. But, one thing that I love that you made a comment yesterday that just stuck with me, and it just rattled around in my brain for a long time. And that was, so I ask people a lot this now versus like, are you a Christian? Like, I just don't ask people that anymore, 'cause I'm like, yeah, that's a whole loaded can of worms right there. But I said, do you consider yourself a Jesus person? In other words, like the dark skin, Jewish Jesus, not the white Republican one. But, I asked you, are you a Jesus person? And you said something you said that I thought was just absolutely amazing. And this kind of rattled me, in a good way. You said, I think he's cool, but I just don't think about him as much. What brought you to that place? Was it the deconstruction of this white American, and I know it's Aussie influenced a little bit with Hillsong, but like, this white evangelical Jesus that has been, so popularized in our culture?
I don't know, because Jesus was like one of the hardest things to let go of in the end. Like, God, like, get out of here. But with Jesus, right, from all the stories and everything, it's like, oh, how can you be mad at Jesus? Like, he seems
he didn't do nothing.
he didn't do anything.
His dad's an asshole, but Jesus.
Listen.
Who
I mean,
can't
we've all
relate
been
to
there,
that.
right?
Like, I get it. We get it, Jesus.
We all have bad fathers out there. Yeah,
that's right.
Right. And so I don't know. It was actually maybe kind of Jesus who was kind of like, get over me. Because like, you just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was just never that into himself. And I just don't think, he was never like, tell people about me. He's just like, just do your thing. Here are good things to do. Here are ways to be helpful. And I've just been thinking a lot lately just about how inane it all is when you think about it. It's like going to church, being a Christian. I think about now, and it's like going to a pool every week to take swimming lessons. But like, we never actually get in the water because we always have to be talking about the rules. right?
Yeah.
And we always have to keep convincing people of whatever the stupid rule is. So
Yeah.
like churches forever, where you're talking about abortion, you're talking about what women are wearing, and you're talking like all these things, and you're never getting to go out the neighborhood and like see what people need. Like just do something. Be
That's
helpful.
1,000% right.
Like we're just talking about the rules all the time. Okay, and maybe next week we'll learn to swim. And so like with Jesus, I'm like, I don't think Jesus cares whether or not I'm thinking about him. Like I think Jesus is like, are you enjoying your life? Are you making other people's lives better? Like do your thing, do my thing if it's helpful and you want to. But like I just like Jesus, I don't think is that narcissist that so many of these pastors are, where like he has to have his name on it and it has to be about me. I think Jesus, like, I just want the world to be better. And if you do it for me, because of me, cool. But if you just do it because you're a good person, because people are actually good and not born bad, that's good too. Like,
yeah, that is so solid. Just like, I can just see that. Like Jesus is like, did you love the sick? Did you take care of the widow, the orphan? Some of those real key things I mentioned to y'all, don't be assholes. Remember when I was like, y'all shouldn't be assholes and y'all just kept being assholes. Remember that?
No, they don't. Because they're just saying truth and love, Jeremy.
Yeah,
it's just truth and love.
Oh, man.
We got to get to our
I know.
final
End roll.
segment.
It's an end roll.
I do have to ask though, Janice, how did it feel when you saw the documentary?
Oh yeah, that's a great question.
First of all, I forgot. I knew it was coming out. And I don't know why. I don't know what year I thought we were in. I don't know what I thought was happening. Like, I can't even remember what the date now, but it was like, oh, it's coming out on the 17th. So I knew that. For some reason in my head, I was like, it's coming on at 9 p.m. Everyone will sit down at 9 o'clock and watch it. And so at like noon, people were like, I just saw you in the documentary. And I'm like, how? Oh, streaming's a thing. Like, it's just out there. So then I was like, oh, I'll probably never watch it because I don't like watching myself. But I had gone to my friend's house and she was coloring my hair, and then she put it on. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're watching it.
I guess we're watching this.
And like the trailer had been out, and I wasn't in the trailer, so I was like, you never know how they're gonna edit it. I might not even be in this thing. I don't know. And I was like, oh no, I'm in it.
Yeah, you were in it a lot. You were one of the main.
You were the star.
People they interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get any fallout from it? Like, did you get any like angry Hillsong messages that you were in it?
Not really. I don't know what it is.
Oh no.
Oh, she froze up.
That's terrible time. Oh, wait.
Oh, you froze.
You froze for a minute. We were all like, ah.
So maybe I'm jinxing it right now.
Yeah. Carl, get out of the wires, Carl. Stop it.
But I don't get, like, Hillsong they do not mess with me. Like, people don't. I get a few, and I had one Hillsong guy who was just,
because you know where all the bodies are buried.
I honestly, they're paper tigers, right? They're cowards. And as soon as people are speaking up, like, they won't really say anything to anyone directly. Like, they'll take shots at people on the internet and in their commentary, but they don't really do anything to me. I had one guy who was like in my DMs all the time, but then I put his DMs. I was just tired. I think it was like something had just happened to Black people. I can't remember which incident it was, but I was like, I'm tired and I don't need this. So you want to be in my DMs? All right, I'm just going to put it in my story, and now everyone can see your name and the things you have to say, and you can deal with it. And so I think people know, like, these are my rules. If you come over here, I'm going to do whatever I want. So
I love
beware.
Like, good for you.
Right.
What did you say earlier? You're a cold.
I'm a cold piece of work.
Cold piece of work. Don't come for her. Okay, we should go for our end roll, and then we promised our favorite. I've been looking forward to this segment for a long time. We're gonna do spontaneous, impromptu sermon illustrations. We did this last year, so season 1, I do believe.
Oh, By the way, if you're tired of being alone and need naked HD, those comments were dropping in. Those comments were dropping in. Carl Lentz would want to hang out with you. Apparently, he's leaving comments.
Don't give them ideas. Okay, so people in the chat, be thinking of random things. It can be anything that you would like us to do a sermon illustration on, and each one of us will do one at random. So we have not rehearsed this. So we will go to our end roll. Mid-roll, end-roll, and be right back.
Loving Evangelicalish? Follow us to catch all the latest content and encouragement. You can check us out on TikTok by following @Evangelicalish or subscribe on YouTube by searching Evangelicalish. That's evangelical with an ISH. And don't forget to catch our live streams each and every single Wednesday night on YouTube at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific. And now, back to the Evangelicalish podcast.
Yay! Welcome back. We did not talk about who is going to run this show, this segment, so I'm just going to do it.
Go for it.
Okay. Does anybody have? Paul. Paul in the chat said vibrators. I don't know if that could even be done.
That's hilarious.
I need to get someone else run this because I got to pull up my pads that I.
Okay, so here's. This was one of our most popular closing fun segments. We did impromptu sermon illustrations / altar calls from suggestions from the audience, and so we're gonna play the pads. And I don't know if we can beat the swimming pool alliteration that we've already had from Janice.
That was pretty good.
But yeah, so who wants to start and be our first pastor today?
We have 2 votes for vibrators, 2 votes for curbside pickup.
I saw Stranger Things.
Yeah, Vecna from Stranger Things.
Leftovers for a meal. That's really funny.
Curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
vibrators feels too. I don't know how I feel about it. Who wants to go first? Jeremy, you go first.
Oh Lord,
what am I doing? You. Which one do you want? You can choose curbside pickup, Vecna from Stranger Things, leftovers from a meal, Dungeons and Dragons, or vibrators.
I'm doing vibrators.
Okay.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it, Pastor Jeremy.
Let me pass. All right.
Hang on, we gotta set the mood lighting, you know.
Okay, the podcast people can't see. No, that is better actually.
That's better. That's better. I don't have a fog machine. Tonight in this room, every head bowed, every eye closed, as we come to a close. And I look cool because I'm a pastor with a tattoo. I want you to think about what it means to really, truly be moved by Jesus. For him to touch you in a way you've never been touched before. For you to feel him deep inside of you in every part. Right now, I encourage you, friends, if you feel Jesus inside of you, won't you come?
Yes,
won't
Lord.
You come to the altar?
Yes, Lord. Oh, God.
Come. Paul.
God, come, Lord.
Come and be made new. Come and be made whole.
You got to say the word for it to count, Jeremy.
Come.
Sneak it in there.
I feel the vibe. I feel the vibe, brother.
Jesus, our great vibrator. All right. That was it.
We go to hell, go directly to hell.
That one, I'm turning red.
And now, here they come down the aisle.
I missed
Daddy God. You
Daddy
said
God.
Daddy God.
That would have been money.
I saw a tweet the other day that was like the going from Daddy God to Yes Daddy pipeline. Just made me chuckle. Okay, what else do we got? So we've got Jeremy, that was lovely. I think applause. I don't.
Well done.
Thank you. I felt pretty good about that. I'm also gonna turn the lights on in here because I feel gross.
Okay, so we've got cargo pants, curbside pickup, Dungeons and Dragons. We still got Stranger Things and Vecna. And do Turning Red. Oh, the movie Turning Red. Farmhouse Decor. Anyone? Any of those jumping? Is the Spirit leading any of you to any of those? Janice, what do you want to do? You go next.
Ooh, maybe I'll do cargo pants versus skinny jeans.
Okay, cargo pants versus skinny jeans. Let's get the pads back. Take it away, Sister Janice.
Right. Yeah, with every head bowed, every eye closed, I just want you to think about your life and what you walked in here with today. Now, a lot of people want to treat religion, treat this relationship with God like it's a trend, right? And we all want to be trim and look like we're put together in our skinny jeans, acting as if we have come in with nothing. But if we're honest, I know and you have got pockets full of things. You are carrying cargo that is not yours. It does not belong to you. And Jesus came and he died to take that cargo, to take those burdens, to get you out of those pants and put you on the road, that straight and narrow road, those straight and narrow legs. And so, yeah, just come to Jesus, come down to the altar, and I want to see everyone leaving looking like they're in a pair of LuLaRoe leggings.
Yes, Lord.
No more cargo, no more pockets, no more secrets.
No more secrets.
Empty those pockets.
Let it all go. Lay it all down.
Lay it all down.
Jeans.
That was amazing. Thank you for bringing that word. Okay. Do we have any other new requests? Put stuff in random. Paul, are you feeling led by anything?
I am ready in season and out of season, April. So give me some pads.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna do. I think somebody had Uber in there, so I'm gonna
Uber Eats.
I'm gonna do something with Uber and.
Okay. Take it away.
Okay. I just want you to imagine tonight that you have a phone, a heavenly phone, and you have a choice tonight, my friend. A very, very important choice. You can call DoorDash for something to come to you, or you can call Uber to bring something for the Lord.
Bless it.
You can call Uber to come and serve, or you can call DoorDash to be served. Some of you are wanting to be served tonight, and I'm calling you to service to the Lord. The Lord is calling you to volunteer for this church, to bring your tithe, to join our school, to lead our small groups. Hallelujah. Do not be door dashing tonight. Be Ubering. Uber for the Lord tonight. And bring your gift.
Know your worth.
To the church. So that we can do what we can to make sure Donald Trump gets, Jesus Christ is exalted. Amen. Can I hear an amen?
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
That was excellent. Okay, I see two people in here put in gun ho.
Yeah, that's yes.
So I'm gonna do that. Janice,
that is absolutely
just catch you up.
Gun
it's a
ho.
little bit of
Yes.
an inside joke. A couple of shows ago, I said they were gun ho for Jesus because I thought that was what it was, and it's gung ho with the G at the end.
No, she knows, April, because like we all know.
Well, I didn't know. I thought it was gun ho literally this whole time. So, all right, I'm gonna do gun ho. Here we
Gun
go.
ho, I love it.
Let me get my pen. All right, guys. I want all eyes on me for what I'm about to share. I'm gonna get really vulnerable with you guys, and I've been really seeking God all week about this to share this moment with each and every one of you. Before this service, I went through each chair and prayed over it so that you could receive this word that I'm about to bring. Guys, sometimes we think we know something. I thought the phrase was gun ho. How many other times in our life have we thought something was gun ho? Do you know what it is? You probably do, because I didn't, and everyone else did. But there's a G at the end of gun. It is gung. How many things in our life are also missing a G?
Amen.
For God.
Oh, the capital G.
Yeah.
The capital G. Gung ho for
Hallelujah.
God, not gun ho. Now, of course, I'm not saying anything negative against guns, though, guys. Like, calm down, because guns are also of God. But listen, guys, we've got to own the fact that sometimes we're wrong. Like, let me tell you something, guys. I cried myself to sleep when someone looked at me and said, April, you're wrong. Gung ho has a G.
Come on,
man,
Jesus.
I just said, God, how could I be so stupid? Stupid girl.
Stupid
Gung ho,
girl.
guys. Put that G in your life. Make room for the G.
That G.
G is for Jesus.
G's for Jesus. All right.
That was beautiful. Women can preach in the church. Come on.
Real G's moving silence like lasagna.
Oh my gosh. Oh, someone just said the God spot.
A worship song, right?
Just brought it all together. G, we should have combined our sermons. It's pretty great, actually.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear the word like come for the rest of the night. I'm really struggling with that one.
That's fair.
That's just me.
Okay, but we should.
Jeremy was bringing the X-rated sermon today.
But it was actually, but the weird thing is, though, every single thing he said, I have heard from the pulpit.
Yeah, I know. That was the point.
I just wasn't thinking of a vibrator when I heard it before.
Hey, is it any less X-rated than the Song of Solomon? Come on. I mean,
okay.
As kids, we used to read that porn in church to keep from being bored.
Your breasts like fawns or whatever it is. I don't know.
Maybe your teeth are like.
What do you think? What do you think all my fountains are in you means anyway? You know.
Fair. It's all fair.
I'm like, maybe that is what I've been missing. You know, like in my relationship with my wife. Maybe I just need to go to her and be like, baby, let me. Like, you know, let's do the fountains thing.
You just got to find the G, Jeremy.
Gotta find the G.
You're just missing the G. That's
the
it.
Capital G.
Okay. We are well over time. And I want to really thank Janice, but I also want her to plug this really cool thing that she has coming out.
Yes.
So if you guys don't know this, she used to write like 3-minute recaps for Scandal, the show with Olivia Pope. Which I used to watch back in the day. But Janice, tell us about you have a musical coming out that is all about Scandal. Tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us where they can find it, what we can do.
So this Friday, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, wherever you get your music, on 7/22, go look for 7/22. It is 7 songs from my show, Scan Musical, which is a musical parody of Scandal. And it's kind of a project of me reclaiming my voice, putting some of my talent out there, singing. So it's, I'm hoping that it will find sponsors, funders, somebody to help get the show back on its feet and out there for real. But yeah, 722. Look for 722.
Is it called 722? Is that what you would type in? Like, do you type in the numbers?
So just one word, all of it.
722.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then tell everyone where they can find you and follow you personally on all the places.
Yeah. So God Has Not Given. I'm there. And yeah, from there you can find all the other stuff, including 722. So if you don't follow me already, find me, follow me, and let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yay. And if you're listening, I will put all of Janice's links in the show notes. So it'll be easy peasy. Thank you so much for being with us, Janice. I feel like we could talk so much longer about all of these things. So we'll have to have you back.
Okay, I guess.
And Jeremy will promise to be here too.
I will show up again.
Well, now I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He overpromised. Now it's ridiculous.
That's so true.
Okay, fine. I will absolutely not be here. Now if I show up, like, it's cool.
Under promise, over deliver. All right, great stuff. Good show, gang, and glad everybody showed up and hung out with us.
Absolutely. Don't forget, go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, 5 stars. Tell people why they should listen. And glad to be back in season 2. We'll see you guys next week.